The 7 times F1 world champion Lewis Hamilton has been quite the focus of the motorsport for years. Drivers who raced alongside him have told both positive and negative about Hamilton and strategies. So let's get ready and find out what F1 drivers think of Lewis Hamilton. Lando Norris, who compared Lewis to some of the greatest F1 drivers ever, must be mentioned first. You always hear the stories of when there was Ayrton Senna or Michael Schumacher, and in this period, it's been Lewis. You are aware of the conflicts he and those men experienced with Alain Prost and Nigel Mansell. It will still be the same with Lewis competing against Seb Vettel and Max Verstappen in 20 or 30 years. Nevertheless, Norris responded as follows when asked if he could beat Hamilton in the same car, despite how amazing Hamilton is. There's a tough question. I've got to say yes. By no means would it be easy. Lewis is one of the greatest ever, but if you want to do well, you've got to believe you're better than the rest. Damn, Lando, that's a bold claim. While Lewis may have been confident in his ability to beat Norris in the same car, Alonso's failure to do so caused their relationship to worsen to the point where there may be no turning back. Fernando Alonso, fresh off a championship-winning campaign, teamed up with newcomer Lewis Hamilton at McLaren Racing, but unfortunately, he made the mistake of underestimating Hamilton when he believed it would be an easy transition for him, and according to former McLaren team principal Ron Dennis, that had a significant negative impact on his time with Hamilton. In their lone season as teammates, hostility between them reached a point where they were not on talking terms for months. After Alonso held up Hamilton for 10 seconds in the pits during the Hungarian Grand Prix qualifying session, Lewis even claimed that his friendship with Alonso was toxic because it left the team feeling down, but he maintains that things have changed for the better over time. But Alonso apparently disagrees, saying, "It was an easy conclusion to reach of the 2007 season, and we respected each other and understood each other too much. We have different opinions on various topics, so now we have this respectful relationship, though it might be colder than it once was. Lewis leads a different lifestyle from most of us, which makes us different." Wow, those two are obviously not the best of pals, and as it turns out, their bitter enmity continued. Alonso also called Hamilton an idiot.
Yeah, what an idiot, closing the door from the outside. I mean, this guy only knows how to drive starting first.
After the British driver turned in on the Spanish driver at the start of the 2022 Belgian Grand Prix. When asked about his outburst later, Alonso said, "When you say something against a British driver, there's a huge media involvement after that. But in any case, I'm sorry. I didn't mean what I just said. The stress of the situation, the adrenaline from the competition, and my desire to finish in the top 2 or 3 all led me to say things I shouldn't have," Alonso said. Fernando, however, didn't stop there. He also contrasted Lewis's 7 wins with those of Red Bull's Max Verstappen, saying, "Lewis has my utmost respect, but it's still different to achieve 7 world championships when you only had to compete against your teammate," Alonso stated. "Then I believe a championship has less value than when you have fewer titles but have had to compete against other drivers with equal or even better material." Hamilton didn't appear to be bothered by the comment, even going so far as to share a picture of himself on a podium in 2007 with Alonso by his side. Damn. However, another driver maintains a 7-time world champion in high respect, particularly in light of all the terrible things that have occurred in the past. Fernando's jabs at Hamilton may be attributed to his tenacity and competitiveness. The Monegasque driver Charles Leclerc expressed sympathy for the British driver's difficulties during the 2022 Formula One season, while acknowledging that the Mercedes driver's poor season was not his responsibility. He even went further to defend the 7-time world champion and express his support after former F1 champion Nelson Piquet publicly disrespected respected Hamilton following his clash with Verstappen in 2021 F1 season. Knowing Lewis since I arrived in Formula One, he has always been extremely respectful to me and everyone that he meets. Those principles ought to be the benchmark for all people everywhere. We should keep fighting for a more inclusive and diverse sport and not tolerate the remarks directed at Lewis. George Russell, fellow British Mercedes driver, also has nothing but respect for Hamilton despite the 7-time world champion's unfortunate history with teammates like Alonso and most notably Rico Rosberg. Russell openly expressed his displeasure at the contentious decisions made at the 2021 Abu Dhabi Grand Prix that prevented Hamilton from winning his 8th title even before he joined the Silver Arrows. Moreover, ever since he joined Mercedes, he made it clear that Hamilton has pushed him to the limits. I feel incredibly fortunate to be with a team such as Mercedes and teammates with Lewis. He's really pushed me to my limits as a driver. I've learned a huge amount going up against somebody like him in the same car. If you told me at the start of the season I'd finish ahead, I would have been incredibly proud and incredibly happy with that, because 9 times out of 10, if you finish ahead of Lewis Hamilton, you're probably going to be world champion, Russell said. George, however, appears to be enjoying his time as Lewis's teammate, whereas Valtteri Bottas did not appear to accept the British driver as his teammate. After leaving Mercedes and spending 5 years as Hamilton's teammate, Bottas added, "I just feel a bit happier in life overall." The current season in 2022 is arguably the most entertaining so far. Even though you might not always recall things, it seems like I'm more in love with Formula One than ever. Despite winning 5 consecutive Constructors' Championships with Hamilton, Bottas never felt like he had a powerful enough voice in the Mercedes team because Hamilton was the more dominant driver. This was because he was always bound to 1-year contracts at Mercedes. The Finnish driver described his dark experiences while serving as Hamilton's teammate, saying, "You lose the joy in things, and I just totally lost the joy of F1 and racing in F1. F1 almost made me furious. At the end of 2018, I was so close to stopping, simply because I couldn't accept and understand that I couldn't defeat Lewis in those 2 years. I place a lot of burden on myself. I really couldn't handle it toward the end of 18, particularly when I began to have the support role in the team, and I really struggled." However, even though the 7-time champion can be a nightmare for his teammates, some drivers seem to find inspiration in him, most notably a driver from Mercedes' arch-rival team. Verstappen's win in 2021 was greatly aided by Sergio Perez, who kept up with the British driver until his Max caught up. But when speaking about the situation that stopped Hamilton from winning a potential 8th championship, Perez said, "At the end of the day, I have done it for my team. Hurting someone in a world championship is something you do not want to do. I am confident that Hamilton himself will fully understand it, but in the end, I did it for my team. I have gone above and beyond for Max and my co-workers. It's not a position you want to be in, but I will always put my squad before anything. Obviously, I was in one where I had little to lose." Damn, I'm curious what he thinks of Red Bull right now. But Sergio also gave Hamilton a lot of praise for encouraging him to improve. The race I had with Hamilton, literally against him, I was fortunate enough to see how good he is. The way he pushes you at the time that he does push you, and then when he saves his tires, he's obviously a very, very intelligent guy, Perez said. Unfortunately, Perez's respect for Hamilton might seem partly related to the fact that he never had an intense battle for the championship with Hamilton, but many who had to dropped all forms of morality aside. And a good example, of course, Max Verstappen. What a season-long battle Max and Lewis and Max had in 2021. This involves running into each other multiple times and aiming both provoked and unprovoked blows. At the 2021 Austin Grand Prix, Verstappen gave Hamilton the middle right finger and referred to him as a stupid idiot in response to Hamilton taking the inside line into the turn.
Stupid idiot.
Ignore it, don't worry about it.
After a wheel-to-wheel battle between Charles Leclerc and Lewis Hamilton at the Silverstone track during the 2022 Formula One season, Hamilton indicated that Leclerc handled the situation much better than Verstappen because he was a more sensible driver. Verstappen, in contrast, wasted no time in criticizing Hamilton, saying, "I think it's quite nice that at 37 years of age, you can still learn how to hit an apex. He is learning, so that is positive," Verstappen added. Younger drivers should be aware that even at age 37, you are still gaining knowledge. Damn. That was brutal. Verstappen admits that he respects all of Hamilton's achievements, despite the two of them frequently verbally sparring, but he believes Hamilton does not treat him with the respect he deserves. "I've been told by others that he doesn't use my name. I've always been told that you should appreciate what athletes have accomplished. I don't have any issues with what Lewis has accomplished. He ranks among the greatest ever. I'm aware that it's not just the car he's been operating. That is helpful. We all understand that. But you still need to defeat your teammate, which Lewis routinely does. I think you have to admit that person did a fantastic job too." The reality that Verstappen and Hamilton are bitter rivals undoubtedly affects his opinions of Hamilton. That was all you needed to know about the 7 times F1 World Champion, and do let us know your thoughts on Hamilton in the comments section below.